So there's so many fears with technology these days, with AI, where it's going, how it's affecting us. Is it making us dumber? And we think we all have to think about it at some level, and me included. We're gonna unpack this today. We got a guy named Hal Elrod, a friend of mine. He wrote this really good book called The Miracle Morning, which is going to give us some practical steps to be able to understand the world that we're living in. But what I want to talk about is also a book that came out a long time ago that I believe predicted all of this. And it's not George Orwell's 1984. In fact, it came out after that in 1985, and it predicted, you could say, TikTok in itself, or at least the world that we live on, the TikTok world that we live in. So hang tight. It's going to be a really good discussion. Here's the podcast. It's funny because you came in here and you were like, how long will you banter before you introduce me? And we're just going to start with Hal Elrod is here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to say this, but this is actually the first time we have met in person.
I know. It's weird when you've known someone in a capacity for years, and then you're like, wait, I've never actually given you a hug until today. It was the first hug.
Yeah. And I certainly feel like I think I would say I feel like I know you more than you know me, because I was introduced to you in 2017 with the Miracle Morning, the book that I'm holding right here. This yellow book that has been on every bookshelf I've had in the last 7 years or so. It had such an impact on me in my life and my brothers. It came from my youngest brother, Parker. He found the Miracle Morning first.
Wow. Okay.
Introduced it to Tyler and I.
Oh, wow.
We read it, and I still have my Miracle Morning every single morning.
Wow.
It is the contents of it have certainly evolved, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is there is a structured morning routine that I never skip.
Wow.
There are times when I will do this in a airport terminal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like those Miracle Mornings. There have been times when I've done it in some very strange places around the world.
Yeah.
In a tent, you know, in Cuba. I've done it all kinds of places, but most consistently right here in my house. And
well, when I room with friends, like if we in the past, this I guess is going back when I was younger and I used to room with friends, but I've been in the Miracle Morning for 13 years, and I'd room with. I remember my friend Brad specifically, and we'd room together at a conference that some sort of entrepreneurial event, and I'd never miss a Miracle Morning. So when not wanting to wake him up, I would get up and I would go into the bathroom of the hotel, right in the room we're sharing, and I'd do my Miracle Morning on the floor or sitting on the toilet with the seat up, or down or whatever, right? But so it's like it's such an integral part of my day, and it's been for 17 years.
That is a strange connection that you and I have. That I too have sat on many hotel bathroom floors.
Let's go.
While Amber is asleep in there, and the lights are off. I don't want to wake her. I don't really want to go down to the lobby, and deal with everything. So I just do it right there on the bathroom floor.
You might be one of the first people that I've talked to that we share that in common. That's
certainly.
Amazing.
I'll put a little towel out there. And
that's right.
So if we jumped on the elevator on the ground floor together and we're both going to 10, can you say in those 10 floors just what the Miracle Morning is?
Yeah, Miracle Morning, it's a morning ritual made of 6 practices that are organized by the acronym SAVERS, SAVERS. That stands for silence, that's your prayer meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And any one of those practices done daily will change your mindset, change your emotional well-being, change your life. When you do all 6 of the world's most timeless personal development practices daily, right, you experience results that are so transformative that I think you'd agree, Granger, right? It creates miracles. You're like, I can't even believe how this has transformed my life and how quickly. So I think we're on 4-8. So I think here you go.
Yeah, what the Lord has done for me through the Miracle Morning to be able to utilize really what's, to me, this is the only quiet time of the entire day.
That's it. Yeah.
And I just thought of, as you're saying that, I thought, something else you gave me was day one. It's in the book, right? Yeah. The day one app. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? The journaling app.
Yeah.
It's in here. This is where it came from, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm on year 7 of day one.
Wow.
And there are so many new journaling apps that have come out in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want to break my streak.
Yeah,
I don't want to,
yeah.
so yeah, journaling in the day one app, because I'm not good at keeping
Physical.
physical. I'm just not good.
Yeah.
It's probably, and we'll get into this, it's much more beneficial to have a physical spiral and a pen.
Mm.
As beneficial as that is, when I'm on that hotel bathroom floor or
Yeah.
I'm in that airport terminal, I'm like, I don't have my stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's the beauty of the right using an app is that especially if it transcends like onto I'm at home on my computer, I can access the app. It updates automatically, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I've got
Probably-
a physical one because I can't read my own writing afterwards.
That's true too.
What?
How
What did I say?
favorite place you've ever done Miracle Morning?
Favorite place.
I've got mine. I know mine for sure.
I honestly probably I know when I would go to Cabo with my family, we had a timeshare for many years there. Wake up and it's like the sunrise over the ocean, sitting out on the balcony, families in there asleep, and I'm just, it's 5 a.m. vacation, no pressure, I'm not working, it's like
No doubt.
That's the special time.
I love the beach ones. For me, I've sat many times on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem.
Okay.
And there's a place where you could sit, whether it sounds a little morbid, but the Jews have all their tombs, and but it's beautiful in a way, and you could see the sun comes up behind you, and as it comes up, you've done this with me, and it hits the city, the ancient city, at a certain time at about 6 a.m. It just hits it, and it glows in this beautiful light.
Wow.
And sitting there, and then I've also done the Miracle Morning on the old wall
side, yeah.
facing the east, sitting in a little niche inside the ancient wall,
Oh wow.
doing it there. So
That's incredible.
Which is a little scarier than it sounds because if you look down, it's just straight
down.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Do you know Dietrich Bonhoeffer by chance?
No.
He was a pastor, German pastor, during World War II. He was actually killed by the Nazis in a concentration camp.
Oh, wow.
Because he resisted assimilation, and on top of that, also was caught in a assassination plan against Hitler.
Okay.
But Dietrich Bonhoeffer started a small seminary during Nazi Germany, and his thing was he told his students, do not speak to anyone until the Lord has spoken to you through his word. And so their morning routine was reading and meditating and memorizing and scribing and then eventually sitting under teaching before they were allowed to speak.
Wow.
Love that.
And so there had the Miracle Morning idea of capturing, harnessing the productivity of a morning is as old as humans are.
Yeah.
And the wise ones have always done this.
Well, it's interesting what you just said. So, I haven't written in the day one journal in a long time, and I wrote in it this morning. Totally
Interesting.
coincidentally.
Yeah.
Very
Wow.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, which is weird. I mean, I literally probably haven't written in it in months, but this morning I did. And what came through me is first thing I wrote down, I am a child of God, like I call these divine downloads. And right now I'm really studying the ego, my ego, humanity's ego, trying to really understand what it plays, because I misunderstood the ego. I always have thought of it as, the need for significance, arrogance, right? Oh, this guy's got a big ego.
Yeah.
And as I've learned more and more about it, I'm realizing, oh no, this is your identity. It's not just you have to have a big ego. It's the ego is our identity. And here's what came up for me this morning in day one, just came through me, if you will. It was ego is thinking, spirit is receiving. I think that's what I wrote down, right? Ego is thinking. So meaning that thought is a verb, right? Or thinking is a verb, thought is a noun. Thinking,
Okay.
right? I'm thinking, and we're literally using our ego to try to control things and figure things out. Whereas when you just quiet your mind to the point of what you just shared, right? And you're receiving, you're not thinking, you're not generating the thoughts, the verb, the action of thinking, you're receiving this divine guidance from God. And so, so I literally wrote that in my day one journal this morning, that distinction between, ego is the thinking and the talking.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. People ask me a lot, They're like, how do you, I just don't know. You're so faithful and you just trust the Lord. I say, bro, I wake up half atheist every single day.
I love that.
I wake up
I
with a
love that.
hard heart,
Yeah.
resistant to the things of the Lord. And so I can't even pray.
Yeah.
Another guy, George Mueller, strangely enough, another German, but ended up being a pastor in England. And Mueller felt this disconnect when he would wake up and start to pray. And he's like, my prayers were so weak and watered down and distracted. And he found that's because he wasn't listening. He was speaking, talking to God, but he needed to open up his word and to be able to absorb and meditate on the word of God first, so his heart would start to soften, or like an old diesel engine that slowly warms up after it's been cold.
Yeah.
And then he's able to pray.
Yeah.
And then he actually has coherent ideas. And I have definitely found this with me. I can't, it is like claws on a chalkboard if I wake up and either I talk or another human starts talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done this for so long.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you wake up, God forbid you wake up in a time when someone's like, Hal, I need you to do this. And you're just like,
Dude,
no, everyone stop.
Well, so interesting. I wear earplugs to sleep, and I keep them on now during my miracle morning. I'll usually take them off like halfway through, but there's something about the like silence to the umpteenth degree where I'm completely inward now. So eyes closed, can't hear even a peep. And now it's like pure reception from spirit, from God, that I'm not thinking, I'm not hearing, I'm just totally, inside. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. So people are probably listening right now going, what does any of this have to do with the topic that this podcast is titled? Well, it actually has everything to do with it. First of all, Hal is the perfect guest to kind of walk through these ideas. And I hope I could kind of peel back your story as we walk through some of these practical things that we're all realizing that we're all distracted at some level. We're more distracted than we were 10 years ago, much more distracted than we were 15 or 20 years ago. If you're younger right now listening, you've maybe always been distracted and don't know ever what it's like to concentrate or to listen to a sustained conversation or argument from someone else. But this is something that humans have always been able to absorb a sustained thought or listen to two people sustaining a thesis or read a book and not be distracted every single page.
Yeah.
This is new to humanity.
Yeah.
And you came out with a podcast. What's the name of your podcast?
The Achieve Your Goals with Hal Elrod podcast.
The Achieve Your Goals with Hal Elrod podcast. Recently, maybe a month ago, top of my head, you came out with a podcast that was something like, how are AI and technology making us dumber?
Yeah.
Something like that. That was like the title. And I listened to it on my morning walk. And I was like, a lot of things went through my head, but one of them was, I'm going to text Hal right now and ask him if he wants to be on my radio show, because these are good, practical things.
Let's go.
And then I want to ask him if he wants to be on the podcast to talk about this very thing.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, we're going to tackle this whole idea, and we'll call it the TikTok generation, the TikTok phenomenon. We're not talking about specifically TikTok. We're talking about
the idea,
30-second, bits of entertainment coming our way through whatever medium it might be.
Swipe, entertain me more. Swipe, entertain me more.
So, but let me start with how you've almost died twice.
Yeah.
Certainly, your story isn't what it is without that perspective of facing death.
Yeah.
First one was a car accident.
Yeah.
Can you tell me who you were the day of the car accident and who you were in the months that followed?
Yeah, I like that question, that framing. So the day that I was 20 years old when the car accident happened. And I was, there's so many ways you could answer the question of who I was, right? I was like, professionally, I'd been selling Cutco for a year and a half, which is important because I was giving a speech at a Cutco conference when the car accident happened. But like who I was, if I'm really being honest and I was a great son. I was a good, a good kid. I was faithful. I'd gone to church my entire life. And I was very, very positive, very optimistic. And, I had learned something in my Cutco career a year and a half prior that served me in the car accident, which is called the 5-minute rule. And we can unpack that more, but it's basically when something goes wrong, you set your timer for 5 minutes, give yourself 5 minutes to feel sorry for yourself, get mad, like whatever emotions come up, feel them fully. Don't suppress them. Don't put on like, no, I'm supposed to act like nothing's a big deal. Like feel it fully. But when the timer goes off after 5 minutes, you go, can't change it. I can't change it.
Yeah.
So now I can either continue dwelling on it, being upset, angry, blah, 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 or I go, can't change it, accept it, and move on. And I had applied that for a year and a half in my Cutco career when I'd have like a no sale or a canceled order, or I was in traffic and go, all right, there's no point in staying upset for the next 30 minutes. Might as well enjoy my life. Sure. And so that's who I was leading into the car accident. And then afterwards,
tell us about the car accident.
Say again?
Tell us about the car accident itself.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I'm driving. So I give a speech at a Cutco, a small Cutco division meeting, like 40 of my peers. I'm 20 years old. And I got a standing ovation, which that was like a real high point in my life. I was like, oh my gosh, standing ovation. Like, this is so cool. Yeah. And a dream of being a professional speaker had been born during that year and a half of giving all these speeches at Cutco events. And I was driving home in my new Ford Mustang. I'd bought my first dream car with my Cutco commissions, my own money. So I'm like, I just got my own apartment. Like literally I'm living at 19 or 20. This is the dream. Bought my car, got a great career, got great friends, like love my life. Everything is great. And a drunk driver, a man that I had never met before, got on the freeway going the wrong way. And he was doing roughly, they estimate 80 miles an hour in a full-size Chevy truck. I was in my little Ford Mustang doing about 70 miles an hour. And he hit me head on at full speed. My car bounced off the drunk driver. It spun sideways when it hit the drunk driver, kind of off center. And I was hit in my door, my driver's side door at 70 miles an hour by the car behind me. And so if you could imagine like getting hit in your door, the entire left side of my body, I broke my femur in half, my leg in half, my pelvis in 3 places. My arm was broken in half. I shattered my elbow, severed all the nerves in my forearm. Eye socket was broken. Ear was almost completely severed. Like it was about as bad as you could get. And I was clinically dead when they pulled me. It took them an hour to cut me out of the car with the jaws of life. And when they did, I had lost so much blood over that hour, just slowly bleeding. And the car was keeping me alive, right? Like literally the pressure of the door was holding me together. And my heart stopped. And so I was clinically dead for roughly 5 to 6 minutes on the side of the freeway. And they put me they revived me, pumped blood into me, defibrillators, put me on a helicopter. And I was transferred to the hospital where I spent 6 days in a coma. My poor mom and dad, like now as a dad looking back going, oh, they had it worse than I. They had to sit there. And I flatlined 2 more times during the coma. So like they had, I had dead at the scene, flatlined again. And so when I came out of the coma, right, to answer the question, how was I after? I was faced with this unimaginable reality. Like, wait, what happened to me? Why am I all bandaged up? My eyes bandaged up, my ear, my leg.
So you don't remember at that time?
I don't remember anything. And in fact, my memory was so bad that you could come visit me. Let's say you're my aunt or uncle or friend, and we spend the morning together. Then you go to lunch and come back, and I would not remember that we spent the morning together. So it was really bad. So my poor parents had to also keep telling me. I'd fall asleep, wake up, go, wait, where am I? And they would be like, you were in a car out. They would keep having to like relive telling me and me facing it and going, what happened? Oh my God. It's like Groundhog's Day. And so within a matter of days, as I'm processing, what does this mean? I'm going to be in a wheelchair the rest of my life. That's what they're saying is the most likely outcome. And like all of a sudden I went, oh, wait a minute, the 5-minute rule. Like I can't change that I was in a car accident. I can't change that I broke 11 bones. I can't change that I have permanent brain damage. And if I'm in a wheelchair the rest of my life, if that is what happens, I can't change it. And I was like, interesting. So I start replaying like the last year and a half of applying this 5-minute rule. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a way bigger deal, but like the philosophy is the same. Like, what's the point of dwelling on something and wishing the past were different, wishing that I wasn't in a car accident when this is my new reality? And I get to choose to let that ruin my life and blame the car accident, or I can be the happiest, most grateful human being that anyone's ever seen in these circumstances. And to wrap up the story, the doctors called my parents in one day and they said, they said, we're concerned with Hal. we believe that he is either in denial or delusional because he's always happy. They said every time we interact with him, he's smiling and laughing and joking, and that's not normal for someone, let alone a 20-year-old that's been hit, by a drunk driver, told they're never going to walk again. We believe that he can't face his reality. It's so painful for him that he just is checking out. We need you to talk to him. So my dad comes in and he says, Hal, and my dad's like trying not to cry. I mean, it was really, he's like, express the doctor's concerns. And he said, Hal, I know that when your friends are here, you guys are laughing and joking and you're upbeat and you're positive. And he said, but like, how are you really feeling? Like when the lights go off at night and it's just you and your thoughts and you're thinking about maybe never walking again and all of this. And I said, Dad, I'm not in denial. It's the opposite. I've completely accepted my reality as it is. I can't change that I was in a car accident. What's the point in feeling sorry for myself or wishing I wasn't in a car accident and causing myself emotional pain? And I said, go tell the doctors that I have unwavering faith in God and in my ability to heal, that I might walk again. I'm going to maintain faith that I will walk again while simultaneously accepting that I might not. But if I don't, I promise you, Dad, you and Mom have nothing to worry about. I'll be the happiest, most grateful person that you've ever seen in a wheelchair because I'm in a wheelchair either way. And like when I share this message on stage, like when I'm speaking, I always say, like, raise your hand if you have something in your life in the past or it's going on right now that causes you emotional pain. The thought of it, the memory of it, you wish it didn't happen, it wasn't fair, and you've spent your whole life, the thought of that just causes you mental anguish. And every hand goes up. And I go, yeah, what's your wheelchair? What's the experience that you realize you can actually choose to accept it? Doesn't mean it was fair. Doesn't mean it was right. Doesn't mean it was easy. Doesn't mean it wasn't, a horrible thing that happened to you. But it's not happening anymore. And you can't go back in time and change it. So the only intelligent choice that we all have is to accept our reality exactly as it is and move forward. And I don't think it's a coincidence that not being in fear of, right, which fear causes stress in our body. So I wasn't in fear. It was like, I'm at peace with whatever the outcome is. Walk again? Perfect. Don't walk again? Okay. Right? Like whatever, I'm at peace. And I have unwavering faith that I will walk again. So I'm visualizing walking every day. I am praying to God that if it is his will, I will walk again in the future. And God, if not, I'm totally at peace. Maybe I'm supposed to give speeches from a wheelchair and that's part of I don't know, right? Yeah. But I don't think it's a coincidence. The last thing I'll say is the doctors came in with routine x-rays and they said, we don't know how to explain this. It was a week after that conversation with my dad. They said, we don't know how to explain this, Hal, but your body's healed so quickly. You're going to take your first step today in therapy if you're ready. And I was like, whoa, I wasn't thinking that soon, like a year maybe. Yeah. And I took my first step that day and the rest, is kind of history.
It's incredible, man.
Thank you.
That story is in the book. And you imagine me kind of going through this, and my life was pretty put together. Reading the Miracle Morning, having my own Miracle Morning, and then I lost my son. In June of 2019, and kind of faced the same scenario after that in the aftermath of, well, this is reality now.
Yeah.
I can't change it. What will I do?
Yeah.
And you could think, hearing your story, and then here you are, happily ever after. That's amazing. The Lord gave you this wake up call, but that's not what happened. Then another near death experience happened to you.
Yeah, man. And when this one happened, I was like, God, come on. Like, what am I supposed to learn from
Which
this?
is a good question.
Exactly.
To ask the Lord.
Well, and that's a great point, is I always say, you should always ask, why me? But not from a victim mentality of, oh, poor me, why me? But why me, God? What am I supposed to do with this, right? Different frame, same question. But yeah, so 37 years old, I woke up struggling to breathe one night, and spent the next 11 days in and out of the hospital every other day, having about 1 liter to 2 liters of fluid drained from my lung, and they couldn't figure out why. And I was finally diagnosed with a very rare aggressive form of cancer. It's called acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And when I was diagnosed, it was like my organs were shutting down. So my lung was filling with fluid, my heart was failing, my kidneys were failing. And I was told that I needed to start chemotherapy immediately. I'm at MD Anderson Hospital at this point, 3 hours away from home, with my wife sitting next to me, talking to the oncologist. And he's telling me what I've got. And, I said, well, let me do a little bit of research. I'm not going to just start this chemo regimen right away. I want to see what I can do naturally. And I reached out to some of the best holistic oncologists in the country, and they said, Hal, there's nothing that anybody naturally, like, there's nothing we can do for you at this stage. You need to start chemo immediately. And I decided, okay, if the best holistic oncologists in the country, like, I'm not going to go rogue if they don't think that they can help me because I'm too far along and there's nothing, like, I need some fast acting, treatment. I said, I am going to do everything in my power. I'm going to take, number one, take ownership for my health. I'm not giving it to the doctor. This is on me. I'm 100% in charge. The doctor is a team member, and I'm going to maintain faith that he will do his best. However, I had asked him, like, what part does diet play? And my oncologist goes, doesn't matter as long as you do chemo. I'm like, all right, so I can't trust you. Other than
we just started this conversation.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. Well, you can't trust a doctor that says that. You can't.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's funny. On the way here, I had a conversation with my friend whose doctor told him the same thing, who's dealing with some sort of kidney thing. Yeah, wow. But anyway, so I'm like, I can't trust you in terms of, and not that I don't trust your heart or your intentions. I trust your education.
Correct.
What you have been taught through your traditional treat, right? Is not, and so I decided, okay, I guess I have to do chemo. And to be fair, or not to be fair, but like this chemotherapy regimen, it was 800 hours of chemo. It wasn't 1 hour a week. It was 100 consecutive hours over the course of 5 days, 24 hours a day. It's one of the most aggressive chemotherapy regimens. And the survival rate for the cancer is 30%, largely because the survival rate for the chemo is 30. So it's like either your organs shut down and you die, or you do 800 hours of chemo and you die. So it's like having to face this. And I had a 4-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. So it's like I'm being told there's a 30% chance I'm going to be a dad in the future. I'm going to be alive. A 70% chance I'm going to die. And the day that I was diagnosed, my wife was really naturally scared. And I applied the 5-minute rule. I'm like, okay, I have cancer. Can't change it. Not going to dwell on it. Not going to live in this state of fear and anguish. And it's like, okay, I have cancer. How can I'm going to be as positive and accepting and peaceful and proactive as I can be. That's number one. So that's like the immediate for me, the 5-minute rule, like, let's go. Okay. And then there's this thing I call the miracle equation. Have you read that, by the way? No. So it wasn't a book similar to the Miracle Morning. It was my own thing. So when I was in sales, I was trying to break these all-time records. And I'm like, how am I going to do what's never been done before? And I came up with these 2 decisions that I now call the miracle equation, and it worked. And most of the things I achieved were with that formula. The day that I was diagnosed with cancer, I was like, oh, the miracle. Oh, so first 5-minute rule. I'm like, got it. Okay, I'm at peace. Let's go. Now, how am I going to beat it? Right? Okay, now I'm at peace with it, but how am I going to be alive for my kids? And I was like, oh, the miracle equation. And I told my wife, as soon as I started thinking about this, I was like, the miracle equation has worked every time I've used it. And it's in explanation, very simple. It's 2 decisions. I will maintain unwavering faith no matter what the results are along the way until the last possible moment. So when you're working towards any outcome, beating cancer, writing a book, achieving a dream, whatever, it's like I will maintain unwavering faith even though I'm going to be discouraged along the way. I'm going to fail along the way. I'm going to fall along the way. And normally people's faith wavers when they encounter those obstacles. But so it's the decision, like my faith might waver, but I'm going to keep. Nope, I'm committed. It's unwavering faith no matter what. The second decision is extraordinary effort, meaning even if I don't feel like it, I'm going to do the thing I need to do to generate the outcome that I'm maintaining unwavering faith towards. So those 2 decisions over and over and over. And so I was like, that's it. I'm going to maintain unwavering faith that I'm going to beat cancer no matter what. There's no other option. And I'm going to put forth extraordinary effort, meaning I'm going to relentlessly research and implement every holistic practice known to man. Anything any other human being has done to beat cancer naturally, I'm going to do that in conjunction with the chemo. And so I told my wife, I said, sweetheart, I know you're really fixated on this 30% survival rate. That data point is terrifying you, and I get it. That's scary. I said, but I want you to realize that's a global statistic for every human being, including those that live in fear, those that eat terrible diets, those that have no faith, those that have no self-discipline. I'm none of those things. I said, so here's my statistic that I believe is true for me. There's a 100% chance that I will be among the 30% of the people that survive this cancer because I will do everything that they did and 10 times more. And that was my true belief. And so I operated, that became my reality. And I wrote affirmations to remind me of it because there were times during chemo that I was like on death's doorway. I was in pain. I was sick. I felt terrible. Fear would creep in. And I would be like, I'd read these affirmations that were on my bedside. Nope, I am committed to beating cancer. and living to be 100 years old alongside Ursula and the kids. No matter what, there is no other option. That was my affirmation. I read it over and over and over until it literally, my entire consciousness became that reality.
If you're trying to get a gift for someone that you think has everything, how about a special video message from me? It's easy to do. Go to cameo.com/GrangerSmith and you put in the prompt what you want me to say. I get that message on my phone. I'll say happy birthday, happy anniversary, whatever personalized message you want me to say to whoever you want me to say it to. I send it to you and you give it to them. It's pretty cool. Go to cameo.com/GrangerSmith. And so now you enjoy life. You look at TikTok all day long, scroll, you lay on a couch and
30-second snippets, man. That's the answer.
All disciplines went out the window.
It's amazing.
Just quit
Yeah,
on it.
just to enjoy life like you do and, just be entertained. You watch Netflix like relentlessly. This is who you are, That's amazing.
That's why you had me on, dude. So I'm the example of what not to do. Let's go.
Two near-death experiences.
I did. By the way, I am cancer-free. I guess I should have ended that story with how it turned out. So it worked.
How your story is unbelievable. I've got an affirmation. As you were saying, talking about affirmations, I've got one. Sometimes when I'm talking to guys that are just overrun, they believe in the Lord, they trust the Lord, but they're overrun with anxiety and fear of the world, which in itself, I'm underlining as I'm talking, which in itself is a sin, because anxiety or fear or depression is always an overflow of you're not trusting the Lord.
Totally.
God took people out of Egypt and in going into the promised land, and they sent spies into the promised land to look, and they come back and they go, it's scary. Like there's giants in there. They're really hard people. I don't think if we went to take this land, I think they would defeat us. And the Lord said, I told you this was your land. I took you out of Egypt. I parted the seas. I took you out and I told you you're going to go in here. And now you're saying you're scared. So because of that, you're going to wander around for 40 years in the desert. And this entire generation will not get to go. So we miss a blessing. It doesn't mean that we're not God's people, but it does mean that sometimes we miss a blessing from the Lord because we're not trusting.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I take people to this, and this is a perfect affirmation, like you're saying, Isaiah 43. If you could read this and trust the one that says it, who in the world would you fear? What would you worry about? Cancer? No. A car accident? No. Losing a child? No. You wouldn't, because he says, fear not. I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. And when you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord, your God, your Savior. As this whole chapter starts out, thus says the Lord who created you, who formed you. If this sovereign God formed you and created you and has you in the palm of his hand, then our fear is always just a result of not trusting that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fear or faith, right? It's one
fear
or
or
the other.
faith.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So in light of that, the fact that you don't sit around and watch TikTok and get overwhelmed by self-indulging entertainment on digital devices, because you actually speak wildly against this type thing. Not to say that you don't enjoy some
In
Netflix,
moderation.
In moderation.
I'm fine with moderation.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this is an interesting discussion I had with a friend recently, that we were talking about The Chosen. And I'm not making an argument here, maybe another episode. How The Chosen, the TV show The Chosen, actually hurts our theology to some extent, because the word of God was always meant to be spoken and heard or read. It was always the word, and the word transforms. And when we start supplementing with visual, it starts to change the way that we consume it.
Okay.
So this is the conversation we're having, and he said, "Have you read the book Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman?" And I was like, "Never heard of it." He said, "Check this out. Came out in the '80s." I was like, "Okay." I get the book. This is only a few days ago.
Okay.
Like, not planning on this being part of you coming over.
Got it.
So I open it up. Written in 1985. It's a response. His thesis, automatically first page, is a response to Orwell's 1984. You remember this?
Yeah.
And so he's saying it's 1985 now. This is what we could know from Orwell's 1984.
Interesting.
A lot of the fears that he was predicting for 1984 didn't happen. But he argues there is a book by Huxley called Brave New World.
Yes.
Less popular, but maybe you've heard of it.
I have
okay?
not read it yet, but I think I own it. Yeah.
Okay.
If that means something.
So here we go. So here we go.
Okay, go.
Keep in mind, written before the internet, before smartphones, social media, but uncannily prophetic.
Wow.
Here's how he starts out. This is in his foreword. Orwell warns that we will be overcome by an externally imposed oppression. But in Huxley's vision, no big brother is required to deprive people of their autonomy, maturity, and history. As he saw it, people will come to love their oppression, to adore their technologies that undo their capacities to think.
Wow.
Stop right there and just consider the podcast you just put out about
Is
AI
making us dumber, and technology.
And this is 30 years, much longer before this, okay?
Yeah.
What Orwell feared would be that people would ban books. What Huxley feared would be there would no reason to ban a book because there would be no one that wanted to read one. Orwell feared that those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism.
Wow.
Orwell feared that the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Orwell feared we would become a captive culture. Huxley feared that we would become a trivial culture, preoccupied with some equivalent of the feelies or orgy-porgies. As Huxley remarked in Brave New World Revisited, the civil libertarians and rationalists who were ever on the alert to oppose tyranny failed to take into account man's almost infinite appetite for distractions. In 1984, Huxley added, people are controlled by inflicting pain. In Brave New World, they are controlled by inflicting pleasure. In short, Orwell feared that what we hate will ruin us. Huxley feared that what we love will ruin us.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's profound and it's so true.
1985, he wrote this.
That's wild. It's so true. And I need to read that, by the way. So Brave New World. I think we have that book, but interesting. But I had never heard of it. The dichotomy between the two perspectives.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I'm a member of this author mastermind, and we have a little WhatsApp group that we are communicating author stuff all the time, and they just put a statistic of reading for pleasure is down something like 40%. You think about that, right? Because it's like, well, why would I read for pleasure when I've got all these games on my phone and I've got YouTube and TikTok and all of it. It's like,
does that include audiobooks?
I don't know.
Listening for pleasure.
I don't know. That's an interesting.
Because there is a big difference between listening and.
I wouldn't count that because like oral transferal it outdates books, so it predates books. So listening to an audiobook, as long as you're not being distracted by the device that it's playing from, I think is excluded from this conversation, because listening and absorbing in that way is always been a thing.
Sure.
Right. He makes an argument that print culture, books, sermons, debates, newspapers, always encourage a rational argument, like a sustained thought. He makes mention that it was Lincoln and I forgot who was debating. Douglas. Lincoln was debating Douglas in the presidential debates, and they would travel with these debates, and it would be the main event at the county fair. So people would go to the county fair,
Yeah.
and the main attraction was
the
sit and
debate?
watch the presidential debate for 6 hours, take a break, go get some popcorn and use the restroom, come back and continue.
They were
And
6 hours long.
and they would just follow every argument of
Wow.
the debate and
Wow.
just track.
Yeah.
And it was never about the way the president looked, it was never about his appearance or how old or young he was or his ethnicity, or it was about his ideas. What does he
Yeah.
have to say?
Yeah.
And we are opposite. The ideas don't really matter these days.
Now it's sound bites.
Sound bites.
Right. Actually, I was at that same author mastermind, and Don Miller was speaking. He founder of StoryBrand, and presidential candidates hire him to work on their campaigns because he's all about crafting story. And he talked about how he was using Trump as an example. He's like, how did Trump win? Sound bites, not deep content. It was What was his immigration policy? Build a wall. Right? And he was like, where he's like, Jeb Bush wrote a whole book on immigration, but he's like, but Trump had the memorable soundbite. So it's interesting. So the point being, like, it's appealing to today's distracted, low attention span, non-deep thinking culture, which is too bad.
It is. When I put out my book, so many people, I don't know if my audience would say the same thing as yours, but so many people said, your book's the first one I read since high school.
I've gotten
Did
that
you
a
get
ton.
that?
Totally.
You get that a ton?
Yep.
Same.
Yep.
Wow. And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
You know?
Hopefully it's the first of many.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I want you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but if we become a culture that doesn't read a book, and by the way, Miracle Morning, what a great first book to read. If you haven't read one since high school, this would be a great thing because it sets you up for more
totally.
reading.
Yeah. I mean, reading is one of the aspects of the Miracle Morning. So you start your Miracle Morning, and then, all right, what's the next book after this one?
It is. So Miracle Morning is a great book to get you on the track, but we're in trouble in the society if we can't sustain our concentration.
Yeah.
If we are constantly distracted, then I don't know how long we could sustain our organization in our societies. I don't know. Before we just burst into chaos. So, Hal, considering the podcast, how is AI and technology making us dumber? You had 2 points in there, or two broad topics that everything came off of. But one of them was, is it replacing God for us? And so kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation with like Bonhoeffer listening and don't speak a word to, I wonder how many people wake up and immediately take their phone off the nightstand and start scrolling to see if there's a comment or a like or a new
I'm sure
puppies.
there's studies for that, but I think it's a large majority of people. And what that does is it puts you in a state of reactivity. So immediately you are stimulating your nervous system, and you're in a reactive mode. You're reacting to the notifications. You're reacting to all of these incoming messages. In terms of replacing God, God is experienced in silence, right? You don't hear the message of God typically when you're overstimulated and you're listening, right? It's in moments of peaceful, purposeful silence, which is why Jesus would go meditate for hours a day and connect with God. And so when we grab our phone, even if we're not listening to something, like we think of silence typically as auditory silence, right? But there's visual silence. It's like if you are stimulating your brain, you're immediately missing out on that ability to receive divine downloads, divine guidance, if you will. And then the other way that technology is replacing God is specifically with Chat GPT. You think about it. Imagine before technology existed, or even before Google started replacing God.
Yeah.
Before Google existed, go back to before the internet existed. Well, when you wanted help with anything, when you wanted an answer, where did you go? You either went to another human being, which is a child of God, an extension of God. Often the word spoken from that human might be God delivering that message through them to you, right? So you're getting the message from God through someone in your life. Or you're going direct to the source and you're in a state of prayer and or meditation and you're receiving those inspired thoughts from God. But now, when you want to know something, what should I do? Oh, click. Oh, cool. That's what I should do. It used to be there's 1,000 articles. Now it's, there's an exact word-for-word message from an entity that I asked a question to, and that entity being Chat GPT and AI,
Yeah.
I think is replacing God's wisdom.
Lowercase g God.
Yeah.
So do you think, sometimes when I hear you talk about this, do you think that this is like smoker's lungs, that when you stop smoking, your lungs regenerate? Could your brain do that and be good as new?
I would think so. And again, this is not an expert. I'm not an expert in terms of neuroscience around this, but just common sense wise, like anything that if you don't use something, it atrophies. That was kind of my other point of the whole: is AI and technology making us dumber? It's like, who remembers phone numbers anymore? You don't, because you don't have to. They're in your phone, right? Who remembers how to get, like if I don't have my GPS, I'm like, how do I GPS to places that I go every week? Like, my wife's like, why are you GPSing? I'm like, it's just automatic. And I'm like, I don't know, I'll make sure I don't make a wrong turn or whatever. But things we don't use atrophy. And so with Chat GPT or Gemini or any, large language model, any tech like that with AI, we're not using our cognitive abilities anymore. We're not using our critical thinking. And the longer it goes without that, and MIT just came out with that study. It was right after I did that podcast episode that MIT came out with a study on how it is actually, they measured X amount of people and how it is affecting their ability to think, to recall information, to remember information, to process information. So now there are, MIT is studying this thesis that I put out there, which is like, common sense would say AI is making us dumber because we're not using our brain.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be common sense. You have been convicted even on your own digital calendar.
Yeah.
Where are you landing with that today?
Yeah. I still use it. It was the idea, though, that I don't remember what I'm doing the next day because I'm so reliant on my calendar. So I'm still consciously incompetent in that regard.
I get it. It's like, and I'm just as guilty. In that Postman book, I wish I had it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me. I've got the Miracle Morning and the Bible. But the Postman book, he makes an interesting argument too, that a big shift happened when the clock was invented. I think it was like the 12th century.
Okay.
The mechanical clock was invented, and we quickly became people that lived moment by moment according to a clock. And instead of moment by moment according to the moment.
Yeah.
Like if I had you live in Dripping Springs, and I live way north of you, hour and a half.
Yeah.
It took you about an hour and a half to drive here, but you told me when you were going to be here because you knew. And so I knew that you were going to be here according to the clocks that we both share. Yeah. And now it's not even about our watches or winding a clock. We are all sequenced to the clock that hits all of our phones to the minute.
Yeah.
That's how long has that been going on? 10 years? No more than the older than the
synchronization of time hasn't been in the last 25 years.
So
because and the reason I know is in radio we had to, for a contest, a big contest for multiple stations, we all had to be on the exact same time. So every station brought in an atomic clock.
Oh wow!
And they synced up to a satellite. This is before iPhones, and before they were all doing it, and so you had to run the contest. You had a 3-second window that you could miss, and you had to run it at the exact same time everywhere. And once we did that, we were all on the same time. And I remember when that happened and where I was, and that was about 25 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like
shortly after that, all of our phones changed. The numbers changed at the exact same time.
And
we didn't next to you.
We weren't conscious of that change in our life. It just happened.
Yeah.
Like Hal wouldn't have gotten here 7 minutes late without telling me, and then say, my watch is 4 minutes slow, and I go, oh yeah, I'm 3 minutes fast.
Exactly.
No worries.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen, but that crept up on us quick. So Postman's argument is that everything changed with the mechanical clock, and
interesting,
because otherwise you would say, I'll come on Thursday to be on your podcast, and I'll get there when I get there.
Morning.
Yeah, I'll come in the morning.
Maybe morning-ish.
7 a.m.
if
to
something,
11?
Yeah. If my horse is well watered, I'll get there.
That's right.
And I would say, absolutely.
Or I'm coming at sunrise, right?
My wife will have a meal for you. We'll just and stay the night. And or I don't know. And then maybe you'll head home. At sunrise. But we have become changed by even the technology of a mechanical clock.
Is it just me, or do you when you describe that, I'm like, oh, how nice, man. That's the way life is supposed to be,
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to the talking about God and technology, and that God is experienced and accessed in moments of silence, right? That's when we hear the whisper of God through our intuition or whatever you want to call it. You think about going to the bathroom now. You used to go to the bathroom and you might get a download, you might get a message from God, right? That a hit like, oh, I just had a really inspired thought or a reflection of something that happened with my spouse earlier that I'm actually going to do now better because, right? No, you don't have that. You have your phone in your hand and you don't, it's completely removed that ability, that's not the ability is still there, right? But the opportunity to actually connect with our Creator in the moments throughout the day while you're standing in line. That smartphone has robbed us of so much.
So are you still doing this? Are you still going to the bathroom without your phone?
I go through phases.
Are you in the phase or out of the phase?
Right now I'm
getting personal here with that.
Yeah, no, I've got the phone with me in the bathroom, but I'll do 30-day challenges. The irony, right, is I'll use an app called what's the app called? It's an app.
We'll use technology to help us not use technology.
Help us not use technology, right?
That's right. What was the one that you had to tap?
Brick,
yeah, where you had to tap that would unlock it again for you to,
It's good.
It was technology to block
locks
technology.
It locks all your apps that you don't want out.
Yeah.
And you tap in to activate it and you have to tap out. So like if I come up here to work and I'm bricked out, then I have to physically go, it's on our refrigerator, to the little plastic thing and I have to tap my phone and to unlock the distraction apps that I might want. But it's crazy how we use technology to help us to mitigate technology.
Yeah. Which is better than not using technology to not, or like meaning if you at least, hey, I'm aware I have an issue.
Yeah.
And if I'm using the tech to help me use the tech less, I think that's a net positive.
Well, I remember having a conversation too with someone from Apple saying we're using technology to help us not use technology right now.
Yeah.
And he's blown away.
Yeah.
Postman urges, I was trying to kind of come up with some kind of summary here. He urges churches and schools and governments not to cave to entertainment. Texas just passed that new rule that no phones.
I'm so glad you said that. Last night, my wife and I went to my daughter who just turned 16, just went to her Meet the Teacher night. And a couple of the teachers were talking about how they passed this law in Texas, right, where no phones, not just in class, not in the halls, like you're not have your phone out anywhere on campus, unless it's an emergency or right. I mean, but they talked about how amazing it's been that the students, just the in class, they're not distracted looking on their phone, right, where the teacher has to go, hey, pay attention, right?
Yep.
But in the hall, they said it's amazing. Everyone's heads are up as they walk to class and they're looking at each other and they're saying hi. And then they said, and then in the lunch hall, the lunchroom, whatever you call it, it's so much louder than it used to be. Oh. Everyone's talking to each other. And I was like, I just got like warm and fuzzies. I was like, oh, that's amazing. I actually leaned over to my wife. I go, I'm so glad we live in Texas. She's like, me too. So
that report right there is unanimous. I've heard that same thing from every person that's reported it. No one has said any less than that. No one has been like, no difference. Not a big deal at all. Everyone has been like, oh, the teachers are just raving about it. It's just a different environment because they don't have phones. What is that official rule for someone that's listening not from Texas? It's no phones at all. I mean, it's like expulsion if it's even seen, even in the halls. What do you know the exact rule or
they passed the same law in Oklahoma? My daughter is
Oklahoma has it too.
A teacher.
Oh,
Oklahoma.
okay.
I need to ask her how.
But it's like the phone has to be off and in your bag.
Yeah. Now I will tell you, I know there's a way around it because my daughter did text me from the bathroom yesterday.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, but
contraband.
But very minimal. If the only time you can have your phone is for a minute a day at school while you're using the restroom or whatever.
She said that there were times you were allowed to have them. Lunch, you could have it. And so maybe it's a little different.
I guess you can hear lunch. Which hearing the report on that everybody's talking more. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
You hear like an old Ken Burns documentary on the Civil War, and he'll read a letter from a soldier, and it just sounds like this just beautiful intellectual masterpiece from this common soldier on
Yeah.
the battlefield.
Big,
You
elegant
think,
words.
what is happening?
Yeah.
What's happening to us? All this technology and all these advancements, and we're obviously not getting smarter as a species.
Well, I had my our neighbor's son. He is 17, I think, and he said that at the high school, Dripping Springs High School, he said one of his teachers finally she got frustrated one day, and she goes, "Look, I know you guys are all using AI anyway. I'm just not even going to fight it anymore. Like, you want to use AI, use it." He's like, "So it's great. So my report that was due, I used AI to create it." I said, "So did you learn anything?" He said, "Nothing. I just said, I need a report on this. Here's the parameters and the rules." And I go, "Do you understand how bad that is for you long term?" Like, I get you feel like you got away with something, but you really didn't. And so that it's scary because like those that are born with this technology from day one, yeah, man, it's pretty wild.
So the world is trending to need Miracle Morning more than ever, even more than, was this 2016 when you wrote this book?
The original published in 2012.
Okay.
So I actually chose a pub date I wouldn't forget. It was 12/12/12, December 12th, 2012. But then the one you're holding on your desk, that's the updated and expanded edition.
Okay.
And I released that one 2023, so just a couple of years ago.
2023. Okay. The world is trending to need this more and not less. I think people understanding the need to have a systematic approach to these things, to a systematic approach to silence and a systematic approach to reading something, listening to a sustained argument at some point, scribing or journaling thoughts that you might have, a systematic approach for me and for many Christians in reading the Bible. I read a very structured plan that I've done this is my 6th year, and I don't ever skip it. And it's always in the morning during the Miracle Morning. So exercise is part of this too. We should always include exercise. And then by the time the day starts, your Miracle Morning's finished and the day starts, there's less weight because you have achieved.
Yeah.
You've achieved what your brain is hungry to achieve. Tell us about the app, the Miracle Morning app.
Yeah, the Miracle Morning app's probably the most requested thing by the Miracle Morning community. And when I say Miracle Morning community, I define that as a few things. We have a Facebook group with 350,000 people from over 100 countries, so that's actually called the Miracle Morning community. And it's crazy. It started with me and my mom and dad and my buddy John, like 2 of my friends named John. Like that's how it started. And I never, it just organically grew into these hundreds of thousands of people that read the book and then came to like connect with each other. And so the most requested thing in the last, 13 years since the original book came out is an app. And the common story is, Hal, when are you going to create a Miracle Morning app? I use 6 apps for my Miracle Morning. I have a journaling app, a reading app, a meditation app. I got a habit tracking. Like I got all these apps. And so for me, it was, I'd get quotes from companies. I'm like, what would it cost to create an app that replaces all 6 of these apps? They're like, $200,000. I'm like, I don't have $200,000. I don't know anything about apps. And so I'd always say no. And then a friend of mine, Josh Eidenberg, we friends for a long time, he finally was like, hey, Hal, the community wants an app. Let's give it to them. And so we started basically just convinced me. He's like, hey, we don't need to do the dream app. Let's just start with a he goes, how much could you afford to start with? And so we started with a really basic app, and we sold it for like $5, and then we sold 15,000 of them to the community, and then we reinvested 100% of the profits to make the dream app. Yeah. So that was his strategy, and I was like, awesome. It worked. And so now you can download the app for free, and then there's you can upgrade to a premium version, but it's got a built-in journal and affirmations and my favorite is there's guided tracks. So you literally push play, and it could be 6 minutes to 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever. You decide how long you want the track to be and what you want it to be on. I need to make more money. I need to build confidence. Like, here's what I want the Miracle Morning to be focused on this morning. You hit play, and then typically it's me or Lucy Osborne's the main voice of our Miracle Morning app. She guides you through Miracle Morning. It's like done for you, kind of. You don't have to even think about it or know how to do it. You hit play, and it walks you through it.
That's incredible, man. And so needed.
Yeah.
So needed and so fun to see what's such a good idea to to now be going on its second decade, of effectiveness. And something I personally hope that we can get a Monday Miracle Morning with Hal on after midnight, about 3:30 in the morning for those people that are, really starting their morning early. Maybe we'll do it. No, it's actually the back half of that hour.
Yeah.
So it'll be like 3:40, 3:45.
Well, interestingly enough, it's actually, again, we're coming full circle because I was a DJ from midnight to 6 a.m. when I was after my first year of college, right? So it's like back on the midnight to 6 shift. And my Miracle Morning for 8 years, started at 3:30 a.m. So I did my Miracle Morning every day at 3:30 a.m. After cancer, I decided to back it up. I'm like, I'm going to sleep more. But that was literally my start time for almost over half a decade was 3:30 a.m. So I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
So
I think it's meant to be.
The voice you hear right now, we're hoping to have on after midnight. Still working out, first we got to figure out if Hal really wants to do it, but
well, now that he knows he doesn't have to do it at 3:30 in the morning, we're tracking along, I think, a little bit.
But just have like some practical steps. Like the one example is how just simple and general these practical steps could be. It'd be like, hey, 30-day challenge, go to the restroom without your phone.
Yeah,
I'm going to challenge you that, and that's one of the 3 steps we're going to do.
And I'd start with a 7-day challenge until the next week. Let's do a 7-day challenge.
True.
And we'll check in with you next Monday. Yeah. In fact, maybe that's a part of it. Is like every episode is there's like a 7-day, like, hey, for the next 7 days, read this quote or implement this idea or do the thing, right?
That's man.
Great.
And sometimes it's like, let's do a 1-day challenge.
Yeah.
And if you could do 1, let's do 2. And if you could do 2, let's do the whole week.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this Amusing Ourselves to Death Neil Postman book, published in 1985, which I believe was like, we could call the book that predicted TikTok. But yeah, we should, you guys should check out that book and read that, make that book be your first book to read during your Miracle Morning, while you're, pressing play on the Miracle Morning app.
There you go.
So, bro, thank you so much. It was such an honor having you here in the studio.
It's a mutual honor. Thank you so much for having me, Granger. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this episode of the Granger Smith Podcast. I appreciate you being here. If you're listening right now, go ahead and rate today's podcast. It helps more folks find the show. And if you're tuning in on the iHeartRadio app, you could actually set this podcast as one of your presets, which is cool. That way, I'm just one tap away. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes. And if you got a question you want answered right here on the show, just email me, podcast@grangersmith.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you next time. Yee yee.